saw an old man in a veteran's hat at the service station pumping his gas. Pulled up beside him, blaring beside Merle. He said, "There's still some good in this world." He said,
Hello and welcome to Telling It Like It Is, UGA Extension and Southeast District's newest source for local, unbiased, research-based information about Georgia's #1 industry, agriculture. Today, I have with us on the show very special guests. And if you can't remember, my name's Blake Carter. I'm the F&M County Ag and Natural Resources Agent. Normally, I'd have Savannah Tanner here with me, but she's actually at the beach right now. So it's just going to be me going solo. But I do have some great guests. We have Mr. Josh and Mr. John McCormick from McCormick Farms in Screven County in beautiful, I guess, Cooperville, right? Cooperville. So I'm really excited to have them on the show. And the reason we asked Josh and Mr. John to join us is we have a very special field day coming up. And if you haven't remembered last year, we really got the perspective of the manager of our research station or research education center, Anthony Black, right there in Midville. And this year we wanted to kind of hear from a grower's perspective. We wanted to hear why the Midville Field Day is actually worth attending, let's put it that way, from the viewership of our actual growers. And so I asked John and Josh to join us, and they've been pretty loyal attendees at our Midville Field Day over the last decade. And so I'm excited to talk with them today. And Josh, thank you for joining us. Can you start by talking, before we get into the Midville side, just talk a little bit about your farm operation, what y'all grow, and how long y'all been doing it for?
Yeah, so currently we grow cotton and peanuts on the farm, and it's been that way, I guess, for about 7 or 8 years. We were growing corn and beans, and then just due to the market for us, cotton and peanuts suited us a little bit better.
That's right.
You know, for what things cost, and as far, I say for what things cost, for what we could get out of it, you know, deer pressure's a big deal. Soybeans, deer, cotton, deer, but cotton and peanuts is where we've been for quite a few years now. I started farming with Pa in 2015, so I've been here 10 years now, and Pa started farming a long time ago. So
yeah, y'all got a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I've had the privilege of working with you and your dad over the past couple years, and I've really enjoyed learning a little bit about y'all's farm and y'all's history and some of y'all's practices. I know y'all are really big into cover crops, right?
That's right, we are. We're big into cover crops. We've really got big into the cover crops probably in 2018, whenever we bought rollers to go on the planting units, and we started letting the cover crop get much taller. And then we also increased diversity on the cover crop and really bank on our cover crop for more than just soil erosion.
Yeah, we had Seth McAllister. I know you know Seth.
Yeah.
He's been on here before talking a little bit about that. So we might be coming back to y'all to revisit that in the future. But
Okay.
A little bit about the field day. So tell me, do you remember when the first time you actually came to Midville was?
No, but it would probably have been about 10 years ago. So I think the Midville Field Day was shut. The whole research station was shut down for quite a while, right? And then they reopened the research station. And were you going to the Field Day, Pa, prior to 2015?
Was.
Do you remember what year it was?
I don't remember, but I know I've been to every one except for one since it's reopened, which was probably, I can't remember who the dean was. Who was the dean there?
Oh, gosh, I don't even remember. It's been a while.
American Fertilizer Institute.
But for the past 10 years, we've been pretty steady at going to the field day. Missed one a couple years ago, and last year I think tropical storm.
Yeah, last year we didn't.
Yeah,
We ended up. Tropical storm knocked us out last year, and so we're God willing, there's no there's no storm right now on the horizon. So we're hoping that we can still rock and roll in a couple weeks. But that shows dedication. So for you to want to keep going to it, there must have been something valuable there. What draws you to coming to the field day so many years?
So, initially Paul was like, hey, we need to go to this. There's, they show a lot of things that are new and give current situation update, but also what's coming and any new things. Just to kind of highlight the things that are going on now, that I am particularly interested in. We always like to hear what Peyton has going on at the cover crop station. And I think Dr. Leo Bastos has got some stuff with DRN. Be interested to see that. I always like hearing Wes's talk about irrigation. Heard him talk a little bit about irrigation on cotton in regards to population. And irrigation cutout. So I think the recommendation now is to cut out irrigation on cotton at crack bowl. I think Wes and his team have been looking at maybe a little bit earlier than crack bowl. So I hadn't got to hear him speak on that. I've just heard what he's been saying, and maybe he's speaking on it this year. I'm not sure, but those are a few of the things that looking forward to. I know that I spoke to you earlier about a seeding rate trial. I don't think there's room for it this year, but I'm sure they're probably going to talk about seeding rate.
I've been this year. We've got some really good stops, and a lot of that, some updates on some of those trials that we've continued or evolved over the years. But we're also featuring some. They're doing some really cool work on replant population and decision making when it comes to that, as well as this year we're actually focusing. We have a big spot for drone calibration for spreading fertilizer using the drone, as well as spraying with the drone. And I think that's going to be really nifty to see, but also it's very timely. We've got a lot of folks that are looking at spray drones and things like that for their operations right now. I know at least one farmer in F&M, and they farm in Screven too, has bought one in the last year or so. So, that's some timely stuff that I'm really excited for myself too, is that precision ag piece. I think we're starting to bring that into the field day a lot more. And as we're kind of evolving that and making that a big priority, right? You don't have to buy the newest technology necessarily to be better at your precision ag on your farm. And I think we're showcasing some of that at the field day. In years past, what have you brought home with y'all to actually use on your farm? Have you taken some of that information and really utilized it really well, whether it was from the cover crop trial or anything like that?
Yeah, I'd say we have. I mean, pointing out something in specific would be hard, but in general, the cover crop stuff has meant a lot to us, and looking at what they're seeing and then comparing at what we do here. I mean, we're not a research station, but we do attempt to have our own research here and collect data on our cover crop, get our dry matter, get our nutrient load on it, estimate how much we're going to get throughout the year, so on and so forth. And I didn't mention earlier, but Dr. Centum, Henry, I really liked hearing his talk a few years ago. I'm sure that's going to be better. Now he's got a few more years under his belt. Really interested in seeing what new things he has going on. So cover crop stuff, along with what Henry has to say about, using chicken litter and how to best use that and timeliness on it, more than just having an amendment out there, actually using it. Paul, can you think of anything in specific? I guess one other thing, they're always good about giving updates on specifics at what's going on right now, whether it be, areola mildew, or whether it be some type of pest in peanut production, or, the current things that make you think, oh, well, I really hadn't thought about that the last week or two. I know scouts are popular in some parts of the state.
That's right.
They're not really popular here.
Nope.
So we kind of tend to do our own work there, and lean on what our other farmers see and what are the agents, the local agents see. And outside of that, Pa, can you think of anything specifically?
You know, just outside of Henry's work has really made a big impression on me. And what I like to see from the Extension Service and from the test station is stuff that's outside of the box.
Yep.
I mean, for example, we all know about PICS and what it means to the cotton plant.
That's right.
And, you know, these things really don't need to be hammered year after year after year. Let's put something else out there.
That's right.
Let's put an early cut out with a pick spraying, you
Yep.
know. Let's stop it at 18 or 20 nodes in there and see what we do. How are we going to improve the quality? Because that's the major concern right now.
That's right.
We can grow the cotton, but we got to grow the quality cotton. These things that I'd like to see emphasized, you know, in the future, you know, for the field day, because old hand is old hand, and much of that can't get better.
That's right. I appreciate that, and that's good insight. I think it's that kind of feedback and the staying current with what the growers are wanting and needing, and not only that, but also being on par with what industries, you know, what we're needing from the industry side. We just had the Cotton Commission out there this past week doing a tour, seeing some of what the research we're doing on cotton on the station, and it was really good to kind of connect some of our specialists that don't really have a lot of face time in front of people with growers. And I think that's one other thing that the Midville Field Day has an opportunity to do is connect specialists that may not be in the field or going to production meetings every year, but they're still doing a lot of good research behind the scenes or doing something innovative. And I think that's something that we got to continue to put forth the effort to showcase. One thing that I really like about the Midville Field Day is it kind of brings together folks from across our area to one spot to kind of look. You know, when you look at some of these county field days and stuff, it's usually just county specific. This one has a territory, you know, it's multi-county, and I think with that comes perspectives and different ideas and different questions. And I think that's a really good place, like you were talking about, hearing what other farmers are seeing and things like that. This is a good place to do that. I've really enjoyed it. Now, as far as working with Extension, we're going to kind of shift a little bit and just talk about your relationship and your collaboration with Extension. How meaningful has Extension been on your operation here? Have y'all utilized Extension for research plots, things like that before? Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah, to kind of wrap up what we were just talking about and go into this. You know, talking about all the things that happen at the field day besides the research plots, you know, one thing I forgot to mention was the peanut plot. I do like seeing that and hearing about the peanut varieties. We hold 06G up on a different standard on this particular farm. We don't really get outside the box on it because it's treated us really well, but we do like hearing about the up-and-coming varieties on peanuts. And talking about what Extension has done for us and bringing in not only farmers, people in the industry. I met quite a few farmers while being at the field day or something associated at the research station itself, like for the cover crop field day that Peyton puts on, and have learned a lot from other farmers as well, and get to talk to other farmers that are doing very similar things that we're doing, or doing things that I want to do, you know. So I've got to hear what other people are doing that have cover crops, and okay, well, golly, so-and-so is doing this. We need to look at that, you know. Let's see what it's like for us. You know, they may be on clay, we're on sand, or they may be 2 or 3 counties away, but we need to take a look at it and see what it means for us. And so being able to get out there and talk with the growers, to me, is just as valuable as talking to the researchers and the industry folks. And as far as what we've done with Extension here on this farm, you know, we have a long history of working with the county extension agents and have relied on them and having another voice, you know, besides us, besides, you know, our friends, you know, our farmer friends, besides our industry folks. We do like to lean on the Extension as well for, hey, do we have a problem or do we not have a problem?
That's right.
And, you know, by having that relationship with Extension, we've done multiple plots over the years. You've been part of that work here as well. So we've done cotton variety trials. We did that for a few years. We've done soil moisture sensors. Paul was doing soil moisture sensors back with Mr. Ray whenever he was the extension agent here. And then when Jason Mallard was here, we started messing with the moisture sensors again.
That's right.
The newer age technology sensors, and still use them. You know, that's something that we weren't using that we got back to using, and relying on the sensors for irrigation. And those things along, variety testing and soil moisture sensors, have been a huge asset to us in saving / making money. You know, we were able, whenever we did the variety testing in 2020, it let us know that we had quite a bit of a nematode problem that we didn't think that we had.
That's right.
You know, so that led to us completely changing gears and being 100% nematode resistant cotton on the farm.
That's right.
And we weren't until we did that variety testing. We have been planting it a little bit, and well, okay, we know this field's gonna have it, but as far as going
full in
100%, I can't say that we would have done that as quickly if we wouldn't have happened to agree to do the statewide variety trial in 2020.
And I think that's, you know, I think I met y'all in 2020 towards the end of that, but I didn't know y'all before y'all realized the nematode problem, right? So when I first met y'all, that's when y'all were starting to figure it out. Like, okay, there's something going on, and so it's to me, that's from an agent's perspective, seeing the change in practice actually in action, right? Y'all have really bought into that. That transition has only been a couple years, and it's because of those trials each year has taught y'all something new, and it's built up to where y'all are at now. And I think that just shows the value in continuing to not just do it 1 year, though, right?
That's right.
To keep looking at it to see what kind of averages you start to see some patterns, start to see some different tweaks here and there. And I just think that's very valuable that you're talking about, just the change in practice because of what y'all are actually seeing on y'all's farm. Is there some other ones that you've that really have stuck out to y'all that have really changed y'all's practice in terms of plot work here on the farm?
Well, so doing that, the statewide variety trial, we did it again the next year, but we also told Jason, and you worked with us at the time, like, hey, if y'all want to do a nematode trial outside of this, you know, we're game for it. So we started doing the nematode trial as well, and then what did we do that? 3 years?
3 years.
3 or 4 years. So
3 years.
Over the course from 2020 to 2023, I think was our last. 2023. We did the statewide variety trial twice, and then we continued on doing the nematode trial. And we kept looking at it. And for us, what we were seeing was, no matter the brand, nematode resistant cotton was the way to go for us.
That's right.
It wasn't worth the gamble to do what some people say the front runners or the Hoss varieties with AgLogic. We were seeing that the nematode resistant varieties were the way that we needed to go. And in our system with cover crops, you know, we plant a mix of cover crops. So some of our cover crops are going to harbor nematodes.
That's right.
And we're like, well, if we're doing better than these other varieties with nematode resistant, then why make our cover crop choices any harder?
That's right.
We like doing a mix of covers, so we kept with that, and then just stuck with, okay, which variety of nematode resistant cotton do we like / which one's doing the best for us. And through all this collaboration with UGA Extension, you know, we've been able to press forward on doing this.
What Mr. John's got something right there. Go for it, Mr. John.
I think, you know, one thing by working with Extension Service, it's opened up the avenue for us to meet other people in the industry besides Extension Service that want to see what we're doing. We want to see what they have to offer. So I think this has been very helpful to this farm here.
Well, thank you for that. I know I think about y'all as really big advocates for extension. Y'all have used us. Y'all use the service, and y'all also go and attend these field days and production meetings. And I from an agent, I just can't thank y'all enough for that, because that's how we make changes, right? That's how we are. That's how we're supposed to be used, and I just appreciate that a lot. Y'all see the value in that, and it doesn't go unnoticed from an agent's perspective. We really appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome. And extension, we've had a long history with extension. My granddad on Pa's side, he was a farmer. He used extension
That's right.
agents. And on my mom's side, my granddad wasn't a farmer. He was an extension agent and retired through the extension service. So for me, growing up, I grew up hearing about extension.
Right.
That this was a place that you could go for help.
Yep.
When you couldn't afford to get a scout.
That's right.
Or to hire a private person, you have the extension office to help you out. They're not your scout.
That's right.
But you can go do your own work, take it to them, and they can help you out. So for us, Pa, I think he views it the same way I do. Extension should always be there.
Yep.
And we should always use them.
That's right.
And we like having the extension. Now, we're also critical of them.
Oh, you dang right. It ain't sunshine and rainbows. If y'all, I could probably, but no, I get.
But the criticism comes from a good place.
That's right.
It comes
That's right.
in and we may be wrong, but what we want to see
That's
out
right.
of extension. We don't want to get caught in a rut on looking at the same old things. We want to press forward, as we talked about. Markets are in a tough spot.
Very tough.
Been in a tough spot. And for, a young fella like myself, or I consider myself young.
You are.
We got to be looking at things that may sound a little bit crazy.
That's right.
Like the seeding rate trial.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not going to be there. I know you've already told me. I was really looking forward to hearing about it. If we don't, that's fine. But, that was a thing that we've been looking at over the past couple of years here, doing our own seeding rate studies. Because every 5,000 seeds per acre you reduce at $700 bag of seed, that's a little over $15.
Yep.
So $15 an acre may not sound like a lot, but Pa and I aren't good enough to where we can go out and grab 200 pounds of cotton.
That's right.
Let's just do so-and-so. We'll get 200 more pounds. So when we can start shaving back on seeding rate, we can start shaving back on fertilizer rates. When we can start shaving back, and still get our same results, then that's money that we don't have to spend.
That's exactly right.
So it's not crazy to be crazy.
That's right.
It may pay to set aside a little bit of your own. I know they don't have room and time to check everything, but we really like to see some of the things that are different.
And I think that's what's your point there, and I think this is for any grower out there that maybe hasn't used extension or worked with extension before or done trials on their own. I think it's very valuable to test stuff on your own fields, because sometimes it's not, you can go to meetings and we can give you information from Midville, but sometimes y'all's dirt is going to be different, right? And it's going to respond differently. And the way you're approaching isn't necessarily chasing yields anymore. It's, okay, we know what we have, that our capabilities on this ground. How can we maximize our profit potential there? And I think that's kind of what y'all are gaining through these trials, whether you're doing them yourself and even with the population trial. I know y'all don't have an agent right now that's working with y'all on it, but y'all are working with West Porter with it.
That's right.
So I mean, you still have that tie to that extension piece, but also any farmer can go out there and do their own little reps and trials. Would you have any advice for any growers that are trying to do something for the first time?
Just go do it.
Yeah.
It don't have to be the whole farm. As far as seeding rate goes, Dr. Porter, and I got to mention Dr. Butler, Sean Butler.
That's right.
Phytogen.
Oh, yeah.
He's been kind of pushing on one end with population. We saw what Wes was doing with some population. So over the course of a few years of talking with extension and private, we've changed where we were at. So quick history, if you go back 5 years ago, we were still hill dropping, and we were roughly in that 30 to 34,000 range, according to what seed was in the bag. We're a small seed or large seed. So then we changed up to singulating. In the meantime, talking with one of your growers, Bruce Redmond, Bruce is down there at a lot lower population at the time than what we were. And, we had conversations about it. Bruce, conventional guy, we're cover crop guy. Well, I get it. Y'all are planting all that trash, Yeah, that's right. That's what we're doing. But at the same time, we got to get down there. That's a lot of money. If you're making the same amount,
100%.
That's a lot of money. So over the course of a few years, like I said, go back 5 years ago, and we're roughly in the 30,000 to 32,000. This year we're at 23,000. Feel really comfortable with it, and may get down a little bit more. 23 was one of the sweet spots. It kind of ranged in 18 to 23 last year, what we did, and we're looking at it again. But the collaboration of working with Extension, which got us to know some new guys privately, everyone together, it's not just a one way.
That's right.
We got to collaborate with other people that we met through Extension, and then get to talk to other growers that oh yeah, we've been doing that for years. Oh really?
Yep.
Okay, well what have you been seeing? Because we want to go that direction. Paul, do you have something?
Yeah. I think one thing, about the innovation is doing things on your own. Like this year, when it got real wet, Josh and I discussed this. Hey, we got plenty of irrigation. Let's drop these subsoilers off this plow, and let's see what actually no-till does. I mean, it took us for 3-4 years to get the equipment in line what we needed to do the no-till, and that's something we've done this year, which we got most of the irrigated property planted in no-till. So it's going to be interesting to see, what the results will be. And one note I want to say is that, if you do these trials on your own, these trials are no good unless you take it to market.
Yep.
And if you don't take it to market, if you just estimate it in there, you need to do 5 acres or 10 acres or something that you can pick, you can weigh, and you can get the grade on, especially with cotton and poundage and grades on peanuts that you're satisfied with. So what's the use to doing this trial if you're not going to get the test results from it?
I appreciate that. I think that's very valuable information for any grower out there, because I've seen the results on y'all's farm working with y'all. I've seen it with a few of my other growers that I've worked with trials, and some of them weren't UGA necessarily trials. They were just trials that the farmer wanted to put on and wanted just another person to help check behind them in terms of their numbers. Like you said, make sure it's accurate. And I think there's a lot of room out there. So if you've never worked with your agent, or if you've never worked on it on your farm, like Josh said, just try it. Pick a spot and try it out.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, is there any final thoughts y'all want to share or add to the conversation today?
Yeah, come to the field day.
Come to the field day. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I would just say, in terms of that, on growers that, that haven't been, it's definitely worthwhile going to.
Yeah.
I know for me, I can sometimes get hung up on why aren't they doing this, or why aren't they doing that. And I think in general, I think we as humans tend to point out the things we don't have.
That's right.
And so it's easy for me to, I wanted to see this, I wanted to see that, and they didn't talk about it. But there are a lot of things there that they do talk about that are relevant, that are excellent research, that are good points to make you think, well, what could we do on our farm, to find another few dollars? Once again, if we could find a few bucks here, a few bucks there, before you know it, we got $20 an acre that we're not having to shell out. And, it takes time to get there.
That's right.
And it takes small trials to get there. And, we're tickled that we've been able to find some things that have worked out for us, where we've been able to, whether it be reduced fertilizer rates or reduced seeding rate, or cut off a little bit on residual herbicides because of our cover crop use. You know, that stuff has taken time, but we're still hunting for more.
That's right.
So it's like, man, okay, well, we can't go any lower here. We hadn't really, well, let's look at that this year. And I think it's real good for people to come and look to see what the university has, and then possibly meet some farmers to maybe get them comfortable in doing some of their own work. But I do think it's a good thing that the field day is there, and I think Anthony does a great job up there with running the farm and the whole team involved. But I think it's a good thing for people to go to.
Well, I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate those words. Anthony, I'm a little biased. I think he's one of the best center. I guess he would be considered maybe a director that we have in our state. I think he does a great job at that farm, the Midville farm. So I do echo that. I appreciate you and Mr. John joining me today and joining us on the podcast. For y'all out there, the field day is August the 6th. If y'all want more information, you can check out our Facebook or our blog post for the flyer and how to register. If you don't have Facebook or access to our blog, then you can always contact your county agent, and they can get you information on how to register for the field day. We would like pre-registration probably about a week in advance, so by end of next week, so we can get numbers for lunch. But outside of that, we hope to see you at the field day, and keep telling it like it is.
Saw an old man in a veteran's hat at the service station pumping his gas. Pulled up beside him, blaring beside Merle. He said, "There's still some good in this world." He said,